Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And this is a special day. No, not because of the weird federal holiday. No. This is episode 450. 450. It only happens once ever. There will never, ever, ever be an episode 450 of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. This is the one and the only. That's why it's a special day. And also, I'm doing something that I don't normally do. On Friday, this last Friday, the one that happened just a few days ago, I began reading an article, and I made it most of the way through. And normally, if I don't make it the whole way through, I just, links in the show notes, finish it at your leisure. Well, as I was going through show prep earlier today, going through, some of the different websites that I go to, trying to find show prep, I came across something that is basically related and a sort of a continuation of the thought of what was on the show Friday, which means that, like I said, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, and that is finish an article that I did not finish on the prior episode. Again, if you did not listen to the show on Friday, pause now, go find episode 449, or actually, go find episode 449 and then pause. Listen to the latter 2/3 of that episode and then unpause and come back to here, because I'm picking up basically where I left off. Again, talking about trust and why for some people it is hard to learn to trust again once they have found themselves not really trusting of others. Although the trust has been lost, it can still possibly be gained back. Unfortunately, the author says there's no quick fix to the problem. Trust issues are deep-seated, stemmed from an early experience, ingraining itself into your overall development, but it's not the end-all. It can be mended. And there are 3 ways that they mention here on how trust issues can be overcome. And I'm going to read these to you in the order that they are presented here without making very much commentary on what I think of the different things here. The first one on the list is therapy. The author says this is the most direct and effective way, and, well, they say this should be your first method of attack. I know, going to therapy alludes to some kind of stigma, like you're crazy or something or can't handle your life, but the truth is that none of that is true. You're just a bit damaged, and you may not want, or rather, you may not even be aware as to what has caused that damage. You're battling the after effects, and you deserve a rest. Now, I will say that I don't think that therapy should be the first go-to, so that's my commentary on that. Continuing it, the article says, speaking to a counselor, therapist, or psychologist can be incredibly beneficial because you end up digging deep and unveiling aspects of yourself and memories that had been suppressed. This is helpful for both the individual as well as for couples if the trust issues are within a relationship, which leads to Number 2 on the list here of the 3 ways to overcome trust issues: communication. Just because your previous partner did you wrong doesn't mean that every person out there is an insatiable, insecure sex fiend. Talk to them. Tell them how you're feeling. You might think that you're coming off as needy and whiny, but those qualities are much more welcoming when you compare them to paranoia, insecurity, accusing, and eventual resentfulness. Tell your partner how you're feeling and why you think that you might have these emotions. If they're willing to work with you and get to a place where you feel more comfortable, they're a keeper. If they're thrown by your concerns, then you need to move on. You're sliding down a toxic path to nowhere, and that leads to number 3 on their list: moving on. Sometimes letting go is better than trying to hold on. Sometimes it's not all in your head. Sometimes you've learned from various experiences, and although they have left you a bit jaded, they have also left you with an intuitive wisdom. Perhaps your lack of trust has left you cynical yet observant. Regardless of whether or not your resignations stem from a very real place, you have to weigh your happiness with the satisfaction of being right. If your mind is running 1,000,000 miles a minute trying to decipher if your partner is telling you the truth, then it's time to cut it off. It's bound to run its course eventually. Otherwise, you're just stuck circling in the motions. You deserve happiness, and eventually you will find someone who doesn't make you question every little thing. Now, with that, let's go to the newest article that I have. And again, if what I just read does not make sense and it seems to be lacking some context, go listen to episode 449. I will put the link in the show notes where you can find that easily. Jumping over, again, to the new article, because this is a continuation of the thought, if you will, comes from archetypes.com, titled "Sometimes It's Not About Love, It's All About Trust." And we'll jump into this here in moments on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com, helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Doublespeak Dictionary by Leslie Starr O'Hara satirizes the marked difference between the ideal of we the people and the reality of we the elite, while offering an insightful glimpse into the clockworks of the totalitarian mind. Ever irreverent but never irrelevant, the Doublespeak Dictionary serves as a subversive and humorous but timely reminder that the emperor has no clothes. The Doublespeak Dictionary is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And yes, again, this is episode 450 of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Before I jump into the article about trust, I want to make sure that I tell you about something that is trustless, if you will, and that would be virtual currencies. You do use them, right? You promote free market money, you use alternatives to the government-issued, centrally controlled fiat stuff. You do use Bitcoin and other alternative currencies, right? If you do, then you need SpendABit in your arsenal. SpendABit is the search engine for things you can buy, you guessed it, with Bitcoin. SpendABit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin-accepting merchant, like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. That's spendabit.fppradio.com. spendabit.fppradio.com. Jumping into the continuation from Friday's show is an article, again, from archetypes.com. Sometimes it's not about love, it's all about trust. Love is an emotional feeling, they say, a positive one at that. It's vital to sustenance and purity of any relationship. And the truth is that if you really care about someone, you would be all in for that special person. However, the journey does not start with love in most cases. It actually starts with trust. Trusting another person or not could be what determines if you're willing to love the person or not. Many times we doubt and cannot even trust ourselves. How easy can it be then to trust another person? But the longevity and sustenance of your relationship with anyone, and this is not just talking about romantic relationships. This is any kind of relationship. There has to be some level of trust. I digress and continue. But the longevity and sustenance of your relationship with anyone is not that you do not love them or care for them. It's just that you expect more from them. You expect that they should be the perfect role model or partner for your happiness. Now, that specifically is talking, I believe, about a romantic relationship. But again, even with a business partner, if you don't trust your business partner, then that's not going to be a partnership that works. That's not going to be a relationship that works. That's not going to be a friendship, which, yes, is a type of relationship. That is not going to work. If there is no trust, then there is no relationship. Continuing on with the article, the thing is that with love or trust, you just have to embrace imperfection and never expect anything. If you truly want to love someone, you have to start learning how to trust and stop waiting for the person to be the perfect partner. It all starts with you. Now, let me sort of pause here to give some thoughts and attempt to clarify through my own sort of eyes what I believe the author of this article is saying, where they say, the key is basically to never expect anything. That's not to say that that there's not some level of expectation of if you send a text, at some point they respond to the text. That's not to say that every morning you wake up and just have absolutely I have no expectations that my partner's going to be faithful to me, or whatever sort of thoughts. It's not to say that you're anticipating that they're going to break up with you. Just don't put those overbearing expectations, is what I'm reading into this. Your interpretation could be vastly different. But I continue. There's a subheader here that says, trust makes you see who you really are. What is your strength? What do you really want from your partner? Perhaps you simply do not trust yourself, which is why you're not willing to stop holding on. With trust, you can know your strength in love or not. And this is something that, it should really get you to think. If you have issues trusting other people, is it really because you don't even trust yourself? If you don't trust yourself, why don't you trust yourself? Is it because you second guess everything you do? Maybe it's because you were taught to second guess everything you do. Who taught you that? Why did they teach you that? Is it because they didn't trust themselves? These things go very, very deep. And I was not planning on, even thinking that it was going this deep. But let's think of this. And I'm going to, because this is kind of, therapy for Darryl, as much as it is for you. Hopefully, maybe not. Maybe you listen and laugh. I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about trusting ourselves. And I've talked before about how I'll, run through scenarios all the time of if I would have done this thing differently a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, then what else would have changed? And part of that, yes, it is me trying to basically form some kind of closure of I made the right decision. But there's that second guessing. Where did I learn that? Where did I learn that? Let's continue in moments here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Davi.
Hey, this is Davi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Davi. So, Davi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of Fiend Phone right now at fiendphone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve Fiend Phone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to fiendphone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's fiendphone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, November, phone.com.
Fiend Phone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
This is Paige Peterson from Made Safe, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. Continuing on with the article, sometimes it's not about love, it's about trust. Trust gives you balance. When you can start trusting, you can have the emotional balance you need to find what you truly desire. You stop seeing borders and boundaries, but you start seeing what you truly seek from the other person. Trust is an assurance. Trust serves as a security. You can hold on to something more accepting than just giving to someone. And this next sentence is written kind of weird. I think it's missing a word somewhere. It says, trust makes you accept than simply giving. I think there's supposed to be a more in there. Trust makes you accept more than simply giving. Maybe, I'm not sure. Again, seems to be a word missing. Trust assures you to be hopeful. It makes you realize that whatever is going wrong will go right. Yes, things can be okay if you trust more. And I'm going to sort of take exception here. Because just because you trust that someone is going to do something doesn't mean that they actually will. And that's, how people wind up developing trust issues, is when they take people at their word of, yes, I will do fill in the blank, and then fill in the blank doesn't get done. So just because you trust someone doesn't mean that they're going to do what they say, which, going back up here somewhere, it talked about not expecting anything from anybody, which basically means that you should not trust them. If you have no expectations that somebody is going to do what they say they're going to do, then there's no trust. How can you trust someone without having an expectation? Maybe I'm just, parsing the words and trying to, be logical here. I don't know, but it seems to me that some of the advice here is circular and flawed and contradictory. Continuing on, trust makes you evaluate yourself. Perhaps you need to find reasons to believe and value yourself more in your relationships. Trust makes you see yourself in a more formidable light and positions you in an arena of strength rather than weakness. So I guess really this has a lot to do with through what lens you're evaluating yourself. If you're evaluating yourself of, did I make the right decision? I don't think I made the right decision. Let's see all the different scenarios that could have played out, and then you go through and you run that simulation through your brain of, if I would have said this at this time and done this, then maybe this would have ended differently and this would have happened. And when I do it, it's not in any way being able to see myself as either strong or weak. It just reinforces, yeah, Darryl, you made the wrong decision here. And you can never go back and change it. Continuing on, trust means peace. Trust gives you peace and settles differences. You can find reasons to be at ease not only with the other person, but also with yourself. And again, this is not really the way things play out with me. And again, maybe it's because I'm trying to go back and make peace with bad decisions that I've made in the past. I don't know, but it does not seem to, at least for me, work out this way. Continuing on, trust gives birth to honesty. Trust makes you focus on what great things you already have going on. You can discover what is real in the relationship, in every relationship. And again, not just the romantic ones. In every relationship, there will always be something to hold on to, and trust makes you find those values that can take your relationship further. Trust also means progress. Trust does not halt the relationship, but drives and steers it ahead. Trust wants things to improve, to have direction, and to grow. You can only make progress if you're willing to trust more. And again, it seems to me, and maybe I'm parsing the words and expecting words to actually have some kind of meaning, but it seems to me that trust requires you to have an expectation that somebody is going to do a certain thing. If I wind up, loaning you $20, then I did so because I trust that you will pay me back, and I expect you to pay me back, which means that I trust you and I have an expectation. But earlier on, they say that trust means not expecting anything. Well, why would I trust you to do something if I don't expect you to do what you say you're going to do? It just seems contradictory to me. But there's a conclusion, and we'll tell you what it is here in moments here on Peace Love Liberty Radio.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Episode 450 coming to an end, and you may have noticed, and yes, I will get to the conclusion here in just a second, but you may have noticed that nothing changed with the intros, nothing changed with the bumper music, and that was intentional. It's not that I, oh no, episode 450 happened and I forgot to do something. No, I intentionally did not make a change in episode 450. I may make a change at episode 500 coming up later in the year. Based on my math, it should be somewhere around late November, early December for episode 500, I believe. So now, let's get to the conclusion of the article about love and trust. While love stays and endures, it can dissipate and get torn into pieces without trust. Trust is the fuel that keeps love alive. Trust makes a survival of any relationship. And again, not just those romantic relationships, but any relationship, whether it be a business relationship, a friendship, a roommate sort of thing, or maybe just with your own blood relatives. Trust is also where your journey of love starts. To love, you have to start learning how to trust. Trust may be a difficult emotional element to share. However, when you're willing to start getting the best from those around you, or maybe that is when you're willing to start getting the best from those around you, you have to be willing to let go of something. It may not be as explosive as love, but trust will make you less selfish and show that you are willing to give a special person a chance to do right or wrong with you. And if you believe that it will be all right, you will find the goodness you are after. And again, because this is my therapy, I just have to say that that's something I really need to work on, is the, allowing for people to do me wrong without closing myself off to the possibility of something bad or wrong. You can't have the good without also having some bad, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't know. Now I'm rambling. Don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions. Send those over ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.